Hey, what's going on? It's Quinn David Furness. Welcome to the Beantown podcast for Sunday, December 30th, 2018. Last podcast of 2018. What a year it has been for the podcast. We are coming to you live from West Virginia, deep in the forest, deep in the mountains, where the U.S. government cannot touch me. Why? Because the government is shut down and I'm in a national forest. You're welcome. How is everyone doing today on a little mini vacation? Myself here. Got some stories to tell. It's going to be fun. As you might have noticed, I am close to a babbling brook, per se. It is a beautiful river. If you could see the picture right now, it's lovely, surrounded by rhododendrons. I feel like I'm in Middle Earth or something. Sitting here on some rocks, doing the podcast live from the outdoors. One of the few times we get the opportunity to do that. But I've been having a good time, spending some time putting together the best of year one special. That's going to be coming out next weekend if I can get my butt in gear. And it's been a lot of fun going back through old episodes and splicing clips and figuring out what to do. I will say that editing, if you hadn't noticed already, is not my strong suit. I don't really do any editing, in fact, on the Beantown podcast. So it's a whole new venture for me. And we're just going to kind of play it by ear. But that should come out next weekend, right at the start of the new year. And then after that, we will be into year two officially. So that's what is coming up. This is the Beantown podcast. It is the People's Podcast, one of Baltimore City's top 500 podcasts. And for this week only, I assume West Virginia's only podcast. You don't hear about West Virginia and podcasts in the same sentence too frequently, so I'm just going to assume, if I may, that I'm the only podcaster streaming live on a Sunday morning. Everyone else is in church. In fact, as I was driving out here from my Airbnb in not West Virginia, but Western Virginia, past a lot of, I don't know if they were Amish or Mennonites or Philistines or what it was, but they got the horse and buggy. I always wanted a buggy. I don't even really need the horse because that sounds like a lot of upkeep, but I just want the buggy. Speaking of words that I just like saying, we're here by a stream, a river here, a run as it is officially known, but we are also overlooking a beautiful quarry. Say that again, a quarry. Deep here in the forest. Quarries were really big back in like the 70s and 80s, but you go now and now it doesn't seem like they're doing as much. There's some people down there in the boats fishing, presumably, but good for them. You don't need to have a fishing license right now because DNR can't come get you because they're not working. So, yeah, good for the fishermen for gaming the system. We came out here yesterday afternoon, rented an Airbnb. Was pretty excited to get away from just the city and all that jazz for a little bit. So I rent this Airbnb about a month ago, and there are certain features you want to make sure you have when you're renting an Airbnb. One is Wi-Fi. That's a big thing for me to have. I went to Shenandoah over Memorial Day, got a cabin that didn't have Wi-Fi, and my, at the time, lady friend was not too pleased with that. Whatever. But, so we got Wi-Fi at this place. Everything's good. Another feature you're looking for in your Airbnb is a kitchen. I like to cook. I don't want to just eat out every day. It's expensive. It's unhealthy. I don't know. I like cooking. So the Airbnb I get says, yes, we have a kitchen. Come stay with us. It'll be lovely. So I say, I don't mind if I do. So I show up yesterday. I had stopped at an Aldi on the way there, gotten some supplies for like breakfast sandwiches, eggs, bacon, cheese, bagels. And then I got a big frozen pizza. And you know those Aldi frozen pizzas, it's like 16 inches or something. This baby's big for $5. You won't find a deal better than that, I guarantee you. 16 inches for $5. You have to go to Amsterdam to get that. But I show up to the Airbnb, and what do I find? And you all know where this is going. No full kitchen. So here's what we do have. We have a fridge, which is always good. There is pretty much nothing else. There's not even a sink. You have to go to the bathroom for a sink. And there's like one of those plug it in stovetop. It's got 2 burners. It's like the griddle that you make pancakes on. And there's nothing else. There's no oven. There is a microwave. I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Matthew Fiedler, last night about it. He said, just go get ramen. Make microwavable ramen. And I say, no thanks, Jack. Can't bring myself to have ramen on my vacation. So here's what we end up doing. I plug the stovetop griddle thing in, and I break out the frozen pizza. And you know, because the pizza's so large and the frying pan is just average size, I can only fit 1 slice of frozen pizza in there at a time. And so we fire it up. It's taken a long time to heat up. This thing is probably pretty old. And we get a slice of frozen pizza on there. Each slice is taking about 5 minutes. It's working out okay. The temperature is decent. The crust is still a little bit uncooked, but, you know, it's better than nothing. I'm about 2 slices in. Boom. If you were trying to figure out what that was, I'll do it again. Boom is the sound I was making. There goes the fuse. Oh, Jesus. I had accidentally plugged, and this is the one that always gets you, the space heater, because this place is cold as hell. Plugged it in to the same outlet as I had plugged the griddle in. Now would be a good time to say listener discretion is advised when you're listening to the Beantown podcast. Number 1, we'll occasionally use some West Virginian-esque language. Number 2, the podcast is objectively terrible. Been saying it for 1 year. Never more true than today. But regardless, so the fuse blows, and so I lose power in about half of the outlets, half of the lights. I still have it in the bedroom area, though. So now we're down to our last resort. We bring the griddle into the bedroom, and I know you're thinking, well, Quinn, why didn't you just reset the fuse? I couldn't find the fuse box. I did some more snooping this morning. It was behind a painting in the bathroom, not the place you expect to look. So we're back in business. But for the time being last night, had to improvise. So take it to the bedroom, and we then have frozen pizza on a frying pan on an electric griddle in bed as I'm watching college football. It was pretty, it was okay. It was okay. We cooked half the pizza, got half of it. I guess we're doing the same thing later today. But tasted okay. Nothing special, nothing fancy. I think the worst part was just how long it took to cook. It's about 5 minutes per slice. Which I guess in the grand scheme of things, you know, for 4 slices, that's the same amount of time it would be to just cook the whole thing in the oven. But I don't know. It's worse when you can have a little taste, and then you got to wait. And then you have a little taste, and you got to wait. So that's the story of cooking frozen pizza in a frying pan. Yes, it is possible. No, it is not advised. But I say next time you're getting an Airbnb, even if it says it has a kitchen, you got to email those guys. Check out, see what's happening. Thank you to my family members last week as we were in Texas for coming on the podcast. Everyone had some good insights to share. We were able to get everyone in the immediate family on the podcast. That was exciting. How was your Christmas? You get any good gifts? I got some good stuff. Probably the number one prize, I got a box of Swiss cake rolls from my mom in the mail, delivered right to my door. That's love right there. But no, it was good. Texas was fine. The weather was nice. Texas Cowboy Christmas was a series that I was really excited about. If you haven't had the chance to see, all of it is on the YouTube page. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm at q.queend. All that stuff is on there, but it was a lot of fun. Was only there for a short time, but made the most of it. And, I got my cowboy hat, so that's really what I came there to do. But I also gave a really special gift. So my dad's side of the family, this is who we go to see. And my aunt lives in Des Moines, but she came down to Texas. My uncle lives in Austin. He came down to Corpus for a couple of days. So in terms of gift giving, aunts and uncles, they can always be tricky. They can always be tricky. That doesn't make any sense. They are tricky. These are people I see probably like once every other year. I don't know them very well, because I've never lived in the same town as them. We're Facebook friends, but still that doesn't really do a ton. So we're thinking, okay, what do we get? Well, for my uncle, it's easy. He's a big fan of beer and just anything fermented in general. And so we get him, my brother and I go to the liquor store, get him some fancy beers. I don't know. I let my brother pick that stuff out because he knows all about that, and I don't have any knowledge of that stuff. But my aunt is the tricky one. She doesn't drink. And I don't know what else. So my siblings went on and on and on, deliberating amongst themselves over what to get Aunt Stacy for Christmas. And, honestly, after like 5 conversations of like, well, we could do this, but she might not like that, or we could get that, this group needed a leader. And not the German song type. I'm talking about Quinn David Furness, host of the Beantown podcast. So I step up and I say, you know what, fam? I got you. I got you. So I go to the grocery store, and I'm thinking, okay, what are the Christmas gifts that really leave a lasting impact, that you really enjoy years after that Christmas has passed? And I'm thinking, it's the type of gift that you were never expecting, but it makes you laugh. It has long-term health benefits, and it's absolutely delicious. So it wasn't Swiss cake rolls, it was salami. I'll repeat that again if you didn't hear me. It was salami. Because here's the thing about salami. You don't have it too often. You don't really feel like you need it. But then when you get it, you realize, damn, salami is delicious. You can pair it with cheese and crackers. It fills you up. It's protein. It's perfectly salted. It's a win-win-win-win-win situation. So Auntie Stacy, I hope you're happy with your salami. Now, I know the next thing you're thinking, well, Quinn, how is she supposed to get that back from Texas to Des Moines, Iowa if she's flying? This crossed my mind. Here was my justification, if you will. Auntie Stacy, from the time we gifted her the salami to the time she was flying, she had a full week. So I'm thinking, if I'm me, I'm eating a whole roll of salami in one sitting. Auntie Stacy, maybe she's a quarter of that pace. She still got a whole week to do the salami. And turns out she did not have it while she was in Texas. She took the risk and went through TSA with it. Now, here is where my responsibility for the Christmas gift ends, because you had a full week, Auntie Stacy, if you're listening to this, to eat the salami. You even had Grandma Sal and Grandpa Dave there to help you out. But I digest. She takes it through TSA, this is according to her Facebook post, and gets buzzed, gets dinged, which I didn't even know TSA was working through the government shutdown. Good for those guys. But she's long story short, yada, 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 she's able to get it through. Everything works out okay. Everyone's happy. So that's the story of Auntie Stacy's 2018 Christmas gift. Hope you're happy. Hope it's delicious. I have to readjust here. So I'm sitting on a rock. And as oftentimes happens when you're sitting on a rock, my butt is really sore. So let's reposition here. Give me a couple minutes. All right, that wasn't so bad. You get up and your ass is numb. Hashtag 16 inches in Amsterdam. 16 inches sausages. It's been a very sexual podcast. I'm now standing, if you're trying to paint the picture in your head. Again, we're coming to you live from beautiful West Virginia, God's country, the natural state. And we're just kind of enjoying nature out of the city for a couple of days. Here was my justification for taking this trip. You're saying, well, Quinn, you just went to Texas. Well, I was there for like 4 days. Here's the thing. Once we start reading applications, and I've already started. That's what I was doing at work this week. But applications start, and then yield stuff happens in March and April. I don't even have like an approved time to leave the office until mid-May. So this was kind of our last shot for the next 5 months to do something. It's a pretty low-key vacation. Rented a car, took it out here to Virginia, and yeah, we're just kind of relaxing, having fun with it. Gonna go back, watch some football, watch the Vikings game. Tomorrow I'm going on a big hike, about 10 miles. Should be fun. So, yeah, let's see. I told the stories I wanted to tell, the sausage, the Airbnb kitchen, best of year one special coming out next week. Pretty much covered all our bases here on the Beantown podcast. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to touch on in today's entry. I knew going in it was going to be a shorter episode, just overall. I didn't have a ton I wanted to talk about, and we've been running long the last 2 weeks. We've had family members on. 2 weeks ago, live from New York. Last week, live from Texas. This week, live from West Virginia. We've been all over the map, literally and figuratively. I tell you what, if you ever get the chance to come out to the Appalachian Mountains or any of its subsidiaries, the Alleghenies, the Great Smokies down in Tennessee, Shenandoah Valley, it's beautiful. It's not the Rocky Mountains. We don't have mountains with, craggly peaks and 14,000 feet of elevation, but it's beautiful, heavily covered in forest, and it's very quiet. Not as much traffic, although Shenandoah and Great Smokies are both trafficked pretty heavily. But you go to something like the George Washington and Jefferson National Forest, it's just like beautiful hiking trails. It's not terribly strenuous. If you're looking for all-day crazy mountain climbing experience. No, it's not the best, but, for guys like me who are more just looking to get in touch with nature a little bit, it's not too bad. Don't have to sweat my balls off just going for a hike. I don't know. I'm in that good homeostasis right now where it's about 35 degrees outside. But I got my coat and my hat on. I can see my breath. Sun coming through the rhododendrons, dappled light, if you will. It's a pretty picturesque scene. So, yeah. That's what's been going on with me. If you have any good Christmas stories or New Year's stories that you want to share, you can always tweet at us. We are at Beantown Cast. We're on Facebook. You can send us an email at beantownpodcast@yahoo.com. That's Beantown, BEANTOWN podcast at yahoo.com. We check it once a day. If you have any stories or advice questions or math questions you want us to help you with on the air, we are happy to do that. But, yeah. That is what is happening in my life. So, there's a squirrel sneaking up on me. I should have brought some nuts. Nuts. Sausages, 16 inches, Amsterdam. It's a palindrome. Coming up, looking ahead to year 2. Just a reminder of some things that are happening. We'll kick it off next week with our recap, best of year 1 special. Talked about that already. January looks to be pretty quiet. No big plans for the podcast. And then once we get into February, we will probably try to bring Ryan Austin Ligon, co-host of the Car Ride Convos podcast, back on for some Oscar predictions. We did that last year. It was a lot of fun. And we'll be doing it again this year, hopefully. Try to get Ryan on for that. February is also when we do our Pledge Drive Telethon Fundraiser Spectacular. So I think we went through the numbers about a month or two ago on the podcast. I have to go back and see exactly what they were. I'm pretty sure it's about $230 is what we're looking to raise. We're already about $30 of the way there. Thank you to our generous sponsors. We knew this year, and this is something we'll be introducing next month in January when we get ready to start gearing up the pledge drive. But we're introducing donor tiers. So, if you donate something like $5, you get a memorial pin, or like $100, you get a back massage, types of different tiers to kind of give back to our supporters. So again, we're looking to raise $230. That goes all 100% towards, 1, hosting the podcast, and number 2, starting the new website. We won't start the new website until we finish the Pledge Drive fundraiser, because the hosting aspect is much more important than the website aspect. But those two together, it's about $230. That's what we're looking to put into the podcast. We're going to have some specials. Like I might be matching donations for a certain period of time. Last year, we just kind of did like a one show was the Pledge Drive fundraiser. This year, I'm thinking of making it more into like a week-long thing, much more involved, kind of the way radio stations do it. So it's not just 1 hour call in. You have this 1 hour, for people listening in like Taiwan or Ethiopia with time zones, it could be a little tricky, or Winnipeg. So we're making it a week-long thing to support the listeners. But we're going to have donor tiers, some incentives packed into that. We'll be announcing those next month. March rolls around. We will have Matthew Fiedler back on the podcast, our accountant at large. He will be walking us through doing your taxes. That was one of my favorite shows from this past year. we will definitely be looking to get back for that again this year. So those are a couple highlights for the next year. But just kind of looking back as we're kind of in reflection mode here, reflexive as well. Year one, the Beantown podcast. Started it the second weekend of January. It was sprouted out of a conversation that an ongoing conversation I had with a good friend of the podcast. Don't forget to use hashtag friends of the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Matthew Fiedler, who we talk on the phone once or twice every other week, if you will. If that doesn't make sense. But just about, maybe trying to do something together, some sort of project. Quickly realized that there wasn't any great way to do a podcast with two people who live in two different parts of the country. The time zones are different, yada, yada, yada. So nothing ever really came from that conversation in regards to the two of us doing something. But I decided to invest in the Samson Q2U series and, said, hey, let's do it. So I started back in January. It was a good time. We've got guests coming here. We're going to pause for 1 sec. Okay, well, suffice to say, I think we got some new subscribers to the Beantown podcast. There was a traveling troupe, a large family, who seemed very interested in what we had, our little operation going on here. But, it's 5 new subscribers, maybe. I don't know, what is that, 25 stars? We'll try to do that. Reminder, if you haven't already, friends, please like, share, subscribe. You can go on your podcast app, leave us 5 stars and a positive review. We would love that. Helps us in our quest to take over the world. But, year one, kind of just kicked it off. Didn't really know what we were doing, even from like a technological standpoint. It took a long time to optimize everything and get it started, but been to a lot of different states. I don't know, I haven't done a count, but we've done podcasts from Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts. Man, where else have we been? South Dakota, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Texas, all over the place, pretty much everywhere. Alaska, Washington State, pretty much everywhere. Geographically, we've covered West Coast, South, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, Midwest, Texas, all that stuff. So we've done a lot of crazy stuff. We've done my taxes live on the air. We've done bourbon tasting live on the air. We've munched on Gibson's Donuts live from the banks of the Mississippi. We've interviewed friends about mental health in grad school. We've ranted against God on Easter. Oh man, we've done a road trip and then a fall 2018 tour. We went to Harrisburg. We were in Memphis, Sioux Falls, Rockford, Illinois, all over the map with all sorts of different fun topics. So thank you to all the fans who've stuck with me throughout year one. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you've had as much fun listening as I've had creating it, which would be about a mid-level of fun, because honestly, some episodes I really enjoy doing and others are just like, well, guess we're doing another podcast this weekend. But thanks for sticking it out with us. Here's for great things to come in year two. Thank you to our sponsors, the different ones we've had throughout the year. Joaquin Nolasco, Home Pride Oregon. I don't have the ad sheet with me, so I can't give Home Pride Oregon its full advertisement, but Home Pride Oregon, inspection perfection. tired of real estate's stranglehold on the home inspection market, that sort of stuff. You get the gist. Call Steve at something, 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay. I think half an hour is a good mark for this podcast. Not too long, not too short, perfectly mid-size. So, with that, reminder, outside of, I haven't exactly figured out how I want to format this. I'm thinking maybe a live intro, live outro for the best of Year One special, but there's not going to be a full live podcast next week because we're doing the Year One recap. So we will see you in the new year. It should be about this January 13th, 14th, in that range, 12th, 13th, something like that, when we'll come to you live, presumably from Beantown. Don't know what we'll talk about yet, but it'll be the kickoff to Year Two. Look out for our Year One recap special next week. And thanks to everyone for listening. Again, we've been coming to you live from banks of a river deep in the forest by a quarry from West Virginia. It's been a lot of fun. Time to go back to the Airbnb, and we still got 4 slices of pizza left to heat up on the frying pan. So wish us luck in that endeavor. And happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy your New Year's Eve. Go crazy. Get a little champagne. Tell them Quinn sent you. And dance the night away, like Van Halen said. So, with that, this has been Quinn David Furness. This is my show, the Beantown Podcast, the People's Podcast, one of Baltimore City's top 500 podcasts. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Use the hashtag Friends of the Podcast when you are talking about us on Twitter and InstaChat, etc. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2019.